Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next matchup for UFC Vegas 113. In this matchup, we have Cong Wang taking on Eduarda Moura. This is one of those matchups where one of those fights where the matchup matters more than I think the names. It's a classic striker versus grappler kind of fight. Usually those comes down to one big question. Can the grappler get the fight where she wants it before taking too much damage? And if this stays standing for any real amount of time, it heavily favors Cong Wang. If it's the matter early and often, it more Ora has a path. And when you see how both women fight through, this feels like a spot where I think Wang's strengths line up really well. Real quick, looking at their last five. For Eduarda Moura, she is 4-1 in her last five. I've won her, contender series against Janine Silva. Won her UFC debut against Montserrat Ruiz. Lost her second UFC fight to Denise Gomez via close decision. Then moved up to flyweight, where it's definitely rejuvenized her career after beating Victoria Hardy and most recently beating Lauren Murphy into retirement. Meanwhile, Cong Wang, very similar. 4-1 in her last five. Her latest fight was Road to UFC, where she submitted Paula Luna, then won her debut via vicious knockout over Victoria Leonardo. Lost her second fight to Gabriela Fernandez, where Wang got caught and then by a big overhand right, then choked out. But since then, on a 2-fight win streak, outpointed Bruna Brazil and then beat up Ariane Lipski de Silva last June at UFC 316. Overall, both have very similar careers. Both were undefeated. Both really look like interesting prospects on the rise. Like I said, beating Ruiz and Victoria Leonardo. But granted, both of those are pretty low level in this division. And then deciding to move up in Moura's case, after the loss to Gomes and, basically killing herself making weight, and Moura moves up in weight. And like I said, looked really good so far at flyweight. While Wang, after losing Gabriela Fernandez, retooled herself, started picking her spots better, and is now on a good 2-fight win streak. And, obviously, the story. Wang is the last person to beat Shevchenko in kickboxing before Shevchenko transitioned to MMA. Oh, with all that said, let's get down to the breakdown. Starting with Cong Wang. She is a clean, sharp striker. Wang is fast, accurate, and is very comfortable fighting at range. As, Wang likes to stay light on her feet, pick her shots, and touch opponents without taking too much in return. She's not reckless, and she doesn't overextend much. A lot of Wang's game is about timing. Step in, land, step out, reset. Wang also does a good job at staying calm. Even when opponents try to rush in, she doesn't panic. Wang will circle, keep her hands up, and look for openings. And when she's allowed to fight her fight, Wang can rack up damage while absorbing much herself. Like, for example, in her last fight, she was brutalizing the calf of Lipski de Silva. Made it so much that she was hobbling by the end of the fight. So when Wang really just fights her fight, she's just going to pick her opponents apart, either via en route to a unanimous decision or just straight up knockout. Meanwhile, Eduarda Moura her game is built around grappling. She wants to close distance, grab a hold of you, and get the fight to the ground as quickly as possible. Once there, she's strong, aggressive, and actively hunts for positions and submission. I mean, you see it. Moura was really big for strawweight, so much so, like I said, she was killing herself making the weight. And even as flyweight, she's still relatively big as a flyweight. I wouldn't say she's bigger than most of the other contenders at women's flyweight, but she's definitely one of the bigger athletes for sure. And Moura, she's not trying to hang on the feet longer than she has to because, that's not where she's most comfortable. The issue for Moura is getting in safely. Her striking is mostly a means to an end. And when she can't get clean entries, she ends up eating shots on the way in. And that's dangerous against someone as quick and as accurate as Wang. So how I see their styles clash. I mean, this fight is pretty straightforward in terms of dynamics. Wang wants space, Moura wants contact. And early on, you're likely to see Wang circling, popping shots, and making Moura reset over and over. And I think every time Moura tries to crash forward, there's a chance she eats a clean punch or kick along the way. And Moura will probably get some clinch attempts. That's just part of her game. But the key is what happens before and after those moments. If she has to work really hard to get close, she's already losing energy and taking damage. Wang doesn't need to hurt her badly early. She just needs to make every entry uncomfortable. Plus, like I said, those leg kicks that were battering Lipski da Silva, those really help when you're going against a wrestler / grappler type, as they need to explode in order to get their takedowns or have good balance in order to land their trips. And if you're able to compromise their leg early, their takedowns are not as fast, nor is their ability to properly balance themselves also as effective. I think as the fight goes on, I think that adds up. Moura, I think, starts slowing down and her shots get more desperate. And that's when Wang's timing becomes more effective. Even in clinch situations, Wang doesn't seem helpless. She can frame, she can break away, and get back to range with this huge, which is huge in a matchup like this. And unless Moura is able to consistently get takedowns and hold Wang down for long stretches, she's going to be fighting an uphill battle. And based on how Wang manages distance and staying composed, that's a tough ask. So for the official prediction, I think obviously Moura has a clear path. Get the fight to the ground early and often. But that path comes with a lot of risk because every attempt to close distance gives Wang chances to land clean shots. And I see Wang controlling most of this fight on the feet, landing the cleaner strikes, and forcing Moura to work harder than she wants to. Maybe Moura gets a takedown or two, but not enough control to swing the fight her way. And then over 3 rounds, Wang's speed, accuracy, and ability to stay calm should be the difference. And I think she wins minutes, wins the exchanges, and just avoids the worst position. So for my official prediction, I'm going to pick Cong Wang. Most likely by decision. She could get a knockout in, but she hasn't recently been finishing her opponents like Bruna Brazil or Lipski da Silva. And while I do think Wang has good accuracy and, has decent power, you saw with Leonardo, the thing is that's Victoria Leonardo. She gets finished by most of her opposition. It's, just not very good. So I think Moura will survive the worst of Wang's shots, but I think mostly just gets beaten up for the better part of 15 minutes. So once again, I'm picking Cong Wang, and I'm going to pick her via decision in this matchup. But with that being said, that's been my prediction of this fight. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think's going to win. Until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. And remember, stay calm, stay respectful, enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.